Hello and welcome to Nick V Uncensored. Today we've got Holly Celiano, and today we're going to be talking about the global financial reset update. We're going to be talking about Iran. We're going to talk about possibly Iraq and what's going on there, and everything that's going on around the world closer to the reset, which we're very excited for because we're all looking for financial freedom and sovereignty to break away from the matrix system, and we're all somewhat invested. Holly, thank you so much. How are you and what have you been up to?
Well, thank you for having me back on. What have I been up to? Just getting life back to normal again after the holidays. So happy New Year to you. And this 2026 is already starting off with so much information. There's so much happening every day, every week, and it's hard to keep up with the constant information stream that's ongoing. So I had put together a bunch of notes, which I want to just read and go over. It's kind of like a little targets of what's going around the world, which is part of the financial system. So the first part is we have the ongoing issues in Minnesota, which that is in the news of what's going on here in the U.S. We hear of the possible Insurrection Act of being used. Now, that's been used in a lot of talks, and talking heads have been talking about that. So if people don't know what the Insurrection Act, it's from 1807, and it's the U.S. federal government empowers the president to nationally deploy U.S. military and to nationalize National Guards for areas of civil disobedience. So that's a big thing. I think it will be used in Minnesota just because that is becoming more and more escalated every day with the ICE agents, and it's going to the other major cities. So I see it possibly being used in other cities. There's 17 major cities they've talked about in the past, and Q talked about that. So I think that's where those will be used. So then let's head on over to Iraq, because that everybody has their eyes on, waiting for Iraq to finish what they're doing. So Iraq has not gone because of the Iranian situation, which is also in the news, very prevalent. And Iran is on the border of Iraq. So if Iraq went before Iran, there could be some retaliatory things coming out of Iraq and to the surrounding countries. So we don't know what that retaliation would look like. So they really need to get that settled. And why is Iran so important to Iraq? Well, the Iran-Iraq gas issue centers on Iraq's heavy reliance on Iranian natural gas to power its electricity grid. So even though Iraq has a lot of its own natural gas, the Iranians give so much of their gas to Iraq. So they have led to current frequent cuts in supply, especially during peak demands, causing major blackouts in Iraq, with tensions rising due to the U.S. sanctions on Iran and Iraq's struggle to develop alternatives. It's like capturing its own flared gas or importing LNG from elsewhere while struggling with payment mechanisms and Iraq's goal of self-sufficiency. So Iranians' gas covers a significant portion, 30 to 40% of Iraq's power generation needs. That's huge. Mm-hmm. So despite Iraq being a major oil producer, they still rely heavily on Iran. So that's why this whole Iranian thing needs to be taken care of, which I believe will be what we did with Venezuela of going in and removing Maduro. The Ayatollah will more than likely be removed. So we're waiting to see that happen. I've also been told that that could be the scare event that we've been hearing about for so many years. So if that does happen, I don't want people to panic, because it's all staged on how this is going to roll out and happen. So just remain calm if there is what looks like World War III happening. Um, so everybody just relax if that does happen. We have the US sanctions on Iran, and they complicate the payment and the trade, forcing Iraq to use a complex barter system or restricted accounts. And they have led to waivers being revoked and increasing pressure. So those two are really tied at the hip, and the whole Iranian issue needs to be taken care of. So then let's move on to our next thing on my notes. Oh, the other thing that's really interesting is we keep hearing about the HCL, the hydrocarbon law. And we know it was passed, but the issue is it's not implemented. And that's the big thing that we are waiting on. It's the laws in the Iraq parliament, despite significant progress being approved by the cabinet, it's due disagreements over oil revenue sharing, regional control, and nationalization with different drafts. It's been circulating for years. So they've made progress, but they have not implemented it. So we still need the HCL to be implemented. So that's another holdup. So it's intended to regulate Iraq's vast oil and gas sector. It's faced numerous delays and political hurdles since its initial drafting. So we need that to get implemented also in Iraq. And then let's move on to silver, because silver is in the news. So silver is rising. We've seen it. I think the last I saw it was $93 an ounce, which is, God,
Wow.
when I started buying my
Really?
silver,
93.
it was
It's gone up.
$17. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's huge. And the US Mint suspends all sales of silver. They just did that on January 14th. So we're looking for silver shorts with banks, margin calls, all of that's going to happen, which is going to lead to a collapse of the banks. They will implode. Another big thing is there is no more copper sales. That's been stopped. So we've seen copper, now we're seeing silver, and I'm sure it won't be long before gold will be next on the block where they stop sales of that. Another thing around the world that's in the news that we keep hearing about is Greenland. US wants Greenland. It's being fought over. Trump wants it, and China and Russia want it. So I know based on how stronghold Trump can be with his negotiations, more than likely, we will see the US have Greenland. And why is that so important? Well, Greenland has massive amounts of minerals and things under its surface that the US wants hold of. It's in the news also that there is a spaceship with under the ice that has massive tech that they want to get their hands on. So that's another big power play there. And then let's go over to, so we have smart money is positioning in the Iraqi dinar, the Vietnamese dong, and the Venezuelan bolivar. And these aren't random foreign currencies. They're asset-backed revaluation plays. And here's the thesis on these. Iraq, the IQD, they have massive oil revenues, and they're working towards the hydrocarbon law, which we talked about, the implementation. Oil revenue distribution could justify higher currency value. So Vietnam is becoming Asia's manufacturing hub as supply chains exit China. Stronger currency supports their economic ascension. Now, when U.S. went to war with Vietnam back in the 60s. They have not revalued their currency since then. They have been so suppressed, so they need to revalue their currency. Then you have Venezuela. Despite losing 480% in 12 months, they have larger oil revenues than Saudi Arabia, which sounds hard to believe that their oil revenues are larger. They have Saudi Arabia has 303 billion barrels. So this regime change and the oil restart equals revaluation potential. And the picture, oil-backed nations with undervalued currency, and then you have XRP bridges them for cross-border settlements in the new system. Not financial advice, just high speculation, but the infrastructure is being built. And then last but not least is this has been in the news in the US and probably around the world is the crypto market structure bill was delayed because of big banks. So there's two bills in with the US House and Senate. It's the crypto market structure bill and the Clarity Act. So the Clarity Act was passed in the Senate, but not in the House. And they are not the same, but they're very closely related. Both aim to create comprehensive regulation with clear rules, which we need because we're moving to a cryptocurrency financial system. So if you don't have clear rules, it's going to be the wild, wild west out there. Now, with the crypto market structure bill, the banks do not want real competition, and this creates competition for them because they've been in power forever. They have been calling the shots. So the DeFi and stablecoins threatens their core business. This bill, in its current form, limits competition instead of encouraging fair innovation. Even JP Morgan's CFO said it clearly. If stablecoins are not allowed to offer yield, banks will see large money outflows. That one statement explains a lot. Then you have Brian Armstrong. He's the co-founder and CEO of Coinbase. He advocates clear crypto regulation and focusing on economic freedom, which is what we all want because the banks don't give you economic freedom. Mm-hmm. And Brian said this bill would make crypto far worse than it is today. So there's a big struggle right now with this crypto market structure bill between banks and the crypto market, and that's why it's being fought over. He said no bill is better than a bad bill, and that bill right now in the crypto segment is a bad bill. Not because regulation is bad, but because the version protects banks more than it protects innovation. So that really needs to be scrutinized and not allowed to happen. It would be tokenized stocks would almost be banned if that was allowed to go. DeFi would be treated like banks, which we do not want at all. CFTC gets weaker and the SEC gets more power, which we don't want. And stablecoin rewards could be banned. That's not another good thing. So the DeFi would become controlled. Stablecoins would lose yield, tokenization gets blocked, and banks face less competition. This bill does not help crypto much, but it protects banks. So that's a big thing, and we really don't want that to happen. So that's kind of an overshoot around the world of where we're at and all the hot spots of why we have not seen the RV yet, what the holdup is, where we're progressing. So any questions?
No, it's really interesting. Really good information. Thank you very much for sharing that. Would you like to explain to the new viewers who are here why there will be a reset revaluation and give an example of the Kuwaiti dinar, how if you were held in, Kuwait dinar, back in the early 90s, I think it was 91, when it revalued back to, it went to its original rate before the Gulf War. it just shot up, and people, if you held that currency, you would have become a millionaire, a multi-millionaire.
Correct.
And it's
Yes.
going to happen again, but to many, many countries like the Vietnam, like Iraqi dinar, because all the banks and everything is being exposed and collapsed,
Yes.
which means that everything has to be corrected. Everything has to be measured according to the gold, to the minerals, to the oil, and that will be
Correct.
used against the currency for purchasing power and restore the original rate. And what we're doing now is many of us, including myself, is investing in currency, so that we have to invest in everything. Not
Right.
because we're greedy, but because we want financial sovereignty. We want to
Correct.
detach from the system. We want to be free and break away from the system. So, could you just explain the logistics around that, please?
Sure. So, as you were saying, with Kuwait back in 1991 during the Gulf War, their currency revalued in 1991. So it was undervalued, like we're seeing with the Iraqi dinar, the Vietnamese dong, the Venezuelan bolivar, to name a few. When Kuwait was undervalued because of the war, it revalued, but they did not have to build their government from scratch like Iraq did, because when we went to war with them, we basically decimated that country. There was nothing left, and they needed to rebuild their government from the ground up, which is what we have been witnessing for almost 20 plus years. So Kuwait just automatically, look, revalued. And if you held that before it revalued, you became a millionaire overnight. Well, the same thing is going to happen with Iraq, with the Bolivar, with Vietnam, because we went to war with Vietnam, as I said. They have stayed at a very suppressed rate. They have never revalued their currency. So they've really been living in abject poverty since the war. Same with the Venezuelans. I mean, that country, those people have been living in such horrible conditions. So the whole goal is not just for one country or one people to become multimillionaires and to be, the wealthiest country on the planet. Every country needs to be sovereign. Every country needs to be its own independent sovereign wealth. And same with the people of the country. They need to all be on a level playing field. The countries, the people, everybody deserves to have that and not be living in such abject poverty where you can't buy bread or have medicine or food to put on the table. I mean, that's just horrible. Poverty needs to end. There's no need to have poverty. So that is the whole goal behind the financial reset. It's a level playing field for the entire world. And we've also heard that they're not going to revalue some countries and leave other countries behind, because to be Nassara-Gassara compliant, everybody has to be on board. Everybody needs to be compliant. So that's what we're doing. We're working towards being in compliant with the Nassara-Gassara rules, and all go or none go. We're not leaving anybody behind. So that basically, for anybody new that's not dialed in why this is happening, it's part of the new financial system that they've put in place for, been working on it really for decades. And part of that is cryptocurrencies. So the XRP, XLM, cross border payments, it's kind of doing away with the SWIFT that the bankings use. And XLM, XRP are the cross border payments that will allow instantaneous transactions at lightning speed. So no longer is I'm going to have, my bank send money to you, and they could hold it for 3, 4 days and trade it and make interest on it and then finally put it in your account. No longer is that going to happen. It's going to be done instantly. And it
Yeah.
really makes, if you own cryptocurrency And you're going to start seeing more and more places where you can pay for things with cryptocurrency. You become your own bank. You're basically eliminating the bank. So that's
Yeah.
kind of that in a
Holly, thank you
nutshell.
so much for explaining that. You just explain it so well, and yeah, it's
Well,
really
thank
good.
you.
Yeah, you do. Thank you. And I just wanted to let the viewers know that I'm going to leave a link below in the description for if you want to get the Vietnamese dong, the Iraqi dinar, and other foreign currencies as well. I mean, it's just good to have them. We've trusted, we know the company, we've worked with them, we have trust, we know that the currencies have been checked. There's a lot of fakes out there as well. But Holly, is there anything else that you'd like to say to the viewers before we finish?
Yes, talking about fakes. So there are a lot of fake people out there on all these Telegram channels and um, even people emailing people for telling you that you have to sign up for your QFS account or you will not be able to partake in this financial reset. And I want to caution everybody, those are scammers. Do not fall prey to those very nice people that message you or put out these posts that, I will help you set up your QFS account. Oh, but you have to fund it with some cryptocurrency. No, 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 no.
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
do that. And people have, and I can't even tell you how many people have messaged me that they have lost like thousands upon thousands of dollars giving these people because they feel that, and then they do these time sensitive, time's running out, you've got to hurry up or you'll lose out and you have to have this set up before you go to your appointment. Not at all. They're all scammers. So please do not fall prey to the scammers at all. So that's a big thing to watch for right now, especially as we get closer to this. There are more and more people very crafting their scam because they know how to lure you in to their scam. If you have any questions, reach out to us and say, is this legit? I have people do that to me all the time, and I'm like, no, it's not legit. Don't do it.
Absolutely. No, if anyone's asking you that, we're going to help you and, we need money first, or you need to open this account and we need to take your money first, don't do it.
Right.
Don't do it. Just use your intuition, double check, where the source is coming from, check the links, make sure that page is verified, and even ask your chat GPT. That really helps a lot. It's helped me out a lot with emails, you know. But Holly, thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And we'll speak again very soon. You take care. Bye
Thank
bye.
you. Bye, everybody.